Good afternoon, Mike, and everybody watching. I am so sorry I couldn't make it today, so I thought I would do a pre-record for you guys of a fantastic question that I have been asked by one of our viewers. And the question is, what would be suggested when asked for source disclosure from client or legal for when data is scraped from overseas resources and possibly not privileged here in Australia due to privacy? I tend to use a disclaimer when reporting and never publish without verifying the information and the source. This is a fantastic question, and I wish there was someone out there that had told me this before I wasted a lot of time giving too much to the client. So a disclaimer is fantastic because covering all bases when it comes to what information you're going to give to a client, a disclaimer is great. But also, I think the most important part of this is in your discovery phase, or whatever you call it, or the goal setting phase with your client. So you need to be really, really, really clear with the client about what they want, and that's what you deliver. So I used to understand that the client used to want to find someone, and then I would get to work. And that would be like we would have already discussed a price, and I would end up doing so much work and giving so much information, and I don't actually know what they really wanted. Did they want a phone number? Did they want an address? And all these other different things. I would be gathering as much information as possible because I was afraid back when I started that if I just gave an address, it's not worth the couple of hundred or couple of $1,000s worth that people are paying me, depending on the case and how difficult it was. Of course, that's how you judge a job. But I was never comfortable just giving an address. So I would never get the client to nail down what they wanted. But that's so important because they might be paying, for example, $2,000 for that address. But that's what they want. That's what they're paying for. They're paying for your skills. They're paying for your expertise. And if you find that address and that's what you hand over, that's enough, because that's what was set out in the initial phase. That's your goal. That's the information they want. Any extra stuff that you find along the way, especially when it comes to data scraping, you don't need to hand that over. That's nobody's business. If you find something that's putting up little red flags in your head, then maybe obviously discuss it with the client. But anything extra that you find outside of specifically what they want, you don't have to give over. Okay, some people like to give over some documents that they've found along the way just as an added bonus. But when it comes to giving extra information, you do not have to do it. And there was a podcast on intelligence gathering, and when it comes to handing over information, be careful about how you present it, because sometimes you think this is amazing, I've got all this information, and you're presenting it and it means nothing to the client. It's gobbledygook and it's just trying to make you look smart. And I was the queen of doing that to begin with, because I had all this information, I have all these new skills, and I gave everything, and it didn't mean anything to the client. They just wanted one thing and I gave them too much. So disclaimer's great, but also in your discovery or goal setting phase or whatever you call it with your client, get down to the specific thing that they want. Don't just let them say, I want you to find someone. I want you to verify that someone is alive or something really vague. You have to get specific. And that way, if they ask you for extra information, or if you do a data scrape and don't really want to give over that information, you don't have to, because your job is to give them that specific information that they've paid for. So I hope that has helped.